The WNBA continues to get the kind of attention they shouldn't want. All right. Again, Colin Cowherd is making a point to talk about the WNBA again. He does it now multiple times a week, but only when it comes to one player, or in this case, one player and what it is the rest of the league is doing to her.
The WNBA is at war with its biggest star. Caitlin Clark arrived as the league's golden goose, meant to bring ratings, money, and mainstream attention. She's delivered on every promise and then some. But instead of a red carpet, she's been met with cheap shots on the court, political snubs off of it, and a level of jealousy so intense it threatens to tear the league apart. This isn't just rookie hazing, it's a calculated campaign to neutralize the one person who could save them, and the evidence is shocking.
Caitlin Clark finished 9th in player voting. In fact, she finished behind one of her own teammates in player voting. The pettiness has no bounds. For years, the WNBA players were pointing fingers. They were saying people are sexist, we're not being promoted, we're underappreciated. And then they get the golden goose and they don't like what it looks like. When the wave hits, ride it. They wanted to fly private. They wanted to be more popular. They wanted sold out arenas. They got it. I wouldn't have guessed that Caitlin Clark would be this.
The phenomenon known as the Caitlin Clark effect is not an exaggeration, it's a statistical tsunami. Her WNBA draft shattered viewership records, drawing in 2.45 million people, more than some NBA playoff games. Arenas that once had rows of empty seats are now sold out, with fans lining up for hours just to catch a glimpse of her warm-up. Her jersey became the top-selling jersey for any draft pick in any sport, ever, with retailers struggling to keep them in stock.
This is clearly them cutting her down, because when you look at fan voting, obviously Clark is one, right? Because she has the most fans in the league. So that clearly biased. You go to the media voting.
She was 3.
She was 3. That actually makes sense.
I agree. She's not having the best of years this year. She's actually, her shooting is down.
Exactly.
There's been a number of situations that she's just not played her best ball. But she is still much, eons better than a lot of the other players that they voted in front of her.
Almost overnight, the league announced it would finally begin chartering flights for all teams, a luxury players had demanded for years. Clark wasn't just a rookie, she was a walking, talking stimulus package, single-handedly boosting the economic fortunes of every player and franchise in the league. You would think they'd protect their golden goose. Instead, they painted a target on her back.
A university professor in finance looked up the value of Caitlin Clark for the WNBA. This is insane. So this year, last season in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark was 26.5% of all economic activity as a rookie on the worst team in the league when she entered it. So now she has an 8-year, $128 million deal with Nike. So, she's going to eat. Merchandise in the league went up off a rookie from a Midwest-based school on the worst team in the league, 234.
The first signs of trouble weren't in boardrooms, but on the hardwood itself. The on-court aggression against Clark quickly escalated beyond typical rookie hazing. It was personal. We saw the blatant off-ball cheap shot from Chennedy Carter, a move so flagrant it was later upgraded to a foul after the game. We've seen her get tangled up in confrontations that seem to carry the weight of a grudge match, not a regular season game.
I'm not going to ignore, nor am I going to take my eyes off of what transpires with the WNBA over the next 2 weeks while Caitlin Clark is out with the quad strain. And the reason why is because, let me tell you something right now. I'm not going to go to word hate. I'm not going to be out there like RG3 was saying that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark or other players hate Caitlin Clark. But I will say this. I don't think it's specific about Caitlin Clark. I think it's what Caitlin Clark represents. See, it's through no fault of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark ball. She balled at Iowa in college. She's balled since she's been in the NBA. She came into the league last year with no break whatsoever between the college game and the pro game and did her thing.
Defenders aren't just playing her hard, they're trying to send a message to physically intimidate the player who is effortlessly stealing their spotlight. The message was clear: you may be the fan favorite, but in here, on this court, you will be punished for it. But that wasn't the whole story. The aggression was about to get official.
Caitlin Clark had another, whatever you want to call it, confrontation in a WNBA game. Like, why is this happening? The Caitlin Clark phenomenon is one that I got wrong. I never really thought that Caitlin Clark would make the difference that she has in college basketball or in the WNBA. What other sports analogies are out there that are in any way similar to the impact that one individual has had on a larger sporting universe? Tiger was...
The ultimate political assassination came when the USA Olympic Basketball Committee announced its roster for the Paris Games. The most famous, most watched, and most talked about basketball player in America was left off the team. The official excuses were flimsy and insulting, a supposed lack of veteran experience, and a desire to maintain team chemistry.
She doesn't always get the consistent great star whistle. I think they're still kind of figuring out how to officiate her, right? Like when I've said this for years. When I covered Shaq and went to Shaq got fouled more than anybody I've ever seen. I mean, it was insane. People bounced off Shaq. Jokic complains constantly. Like, people are bouncing off me. She doesn't quite get as favorable a whistle as you think. So I think
neither does Steph too. That's the funny.
It was a slap in the face, not just to Clark, but to the millions of new fans she would have brought to the Olympic stage. This wasn't a basketball decision. It was a political one. It was a clear message from the old guard. You may be popular, but you're not one of us. We control this world, and you are not welcome at the top table. And what happened next would reveal just how deep that sentiment ran.
So we all know who Caitlin Clark is. She's the golden goose, laying those golden eggs for the WNBA to prosper. Well, a lot of times we notice that the WNBA is resisting this golden goose and resisting this bump and this force of nature, which is Caitlin Clark. So we're going to have to dive deep into that. What's behind that? Is jealousy, envy, pettiness, all the above, more than that? We're going to have to go.
If you need any more proof that this rejection was personal, look no further than the All-Star voting numbers. The results tell a shocking story of a deep-seated betrayal by her own peers. Among fans, Caitlin Clark was voted number 1. It wasn't even close. Among the media, who recognized her undeniable impact, she was ranked number 3. But among the players themselves, she was ranked a stunning 9th.
So it's the last part of it, the players vote, that I take some exception to. And I'm not a big Caitlin Clark fan. Like, I don't care either way, but they vote her 9. And why I find that absolutely hilarious is you can say she's 9 if you want, but you don't treat her like she's 9. Because when she was here in town, they were picking her up 3/4 court the entire game, and they had her double teamed the entire game. Now, is your shooting efficiency going to go down?
It was a quiet confession of resentment. While the world saw a superstar elevating their league, her colleagues saw a threat. They used their vote not to celebrate the game's biggest star, but to try and diminish her, to quietly push her down the ladder while publicly benefiting from her presence. And this internal jealousy has fueled an even more insane idea, one that could burn the entire league to the ground.
Caitlin Clark was number 1 among fans, number 3 among media. What do you think she was among players?
Dead last.
She's not last.
Not last, no. But
barely made it to the top 10. So she was 1, 3, and 9. Well, Dick Vitale went off on a whole rant. It is pure jealousy. Someday these players will realize what she has done for them. They now have chartered planes, increase in salaries, sold out crowds, improved TV ratings. Stop being jealous haters on Caitlin.
The threats aren't just coming from rival teams or league committees. The most insidious sabotage may be coming from her own sideline. The coaching and strategy in Indiana have been baffling. Viewers watch as Clark is benched during crucial moments or subbed out with strange rotations that kill the team's momentum. The offensive system often seems to ignore her greatest strengths, failing to consistently run the pick and roll plays where she thrives.
Now let's look at the viewership, right? So I'm looking at here. So before the WNBA, before Caitlin arrived, the WNBA averaged around 300,000 to 400,000 viewers per game on national television, right? 300,000 to 400,000 viewership, right? The 2023 season, they said they saw an average of 367,000 viewers, right? When Caitlin Clark came, with her presence, viewership has increased with some games drawing over 1 million viewers, right? Caitlin Clark's WNBA draft for her drew 2.45 million viewers. That's crazy. So that means these people and what she did in college and bringing them all to the WNBA scale, people are watching the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark.
It's a bizarre sight, a team with a generational offensive weapon that seems hesitant to actually use it. This isn't just poor coaching, it feels like a deliberate attempt to humble her, to force her to fit in, rather than building the entire system around her, as any logical franchise would. They're treating a flamethrower like a water pistol, and everyone can see it.
There's a lot of hate on Caitlin Clark, and I think because she's white, because she's a hooper and she's going out there and bust people's ass every single night, and it's this little pretty petite country girl that you're not expecting. Again, she's not super athletic, she's not super big, but boy, can she shoot that ball, and she is must-watch TV. I think when she was hurt a few weeks ago, they said viewership dropped by 52%. You know what I mean? And
I didn't watch. I quit watching the teams. Yeah.
But the war against Clark isn't just being fought with clipboards and hard fouls. She has been unwillingly drafted into a much larger, uglier battle, America's culture war. Discussions about her are rarely just about basketball anymore. They quickly spiral into heated debates about race, privilege, and media bias.
When we talk about hatred, when we talk about jealousy, when we talk about pettiness, Caitlin Clark's name always pops up because that's what she receives on a daily basis. And for the players to vote her 9th in guards just lets you know how out of touch they are. And it's not because of her game, it's simply because of those 3 things that I mentioned. She was ranked 1st by the fans, which makes sense. She was ranked number 3 by the media, which kind of makes sense. Anywhere between the 1, 2, or 3rd, that's fine. And then she was ranked 9th by the play.
She has become a proxy, a blank screen onto which people project their own beliefs and grievances. To some, she is a wholesome, hardworking hero being unfairly attacked. To others, she's a symbol of unearned, media-driven hype who represents an unfair system. Clark herself has done nothing to invite this. She just wants to play basketball, but she's now a lightning rod for societal tensions, which only adds more fuel to the fire and explains the extreme, polarized reaction she receives. With all this pressure building from the inside and out, the league is now floating its most dangerous idea yet, trading Caitlin Clark. It's a move that sounds like complete madness. Why would the Indiana Fever trade their only asset, the one player who guarantees sold-out arenas and national TV coverage? It's like finding a winning lottery ticket and trading it for a pack of gum. But the rumors persist because her situation feels increasingly unstable. The idea of a trade isn't just a rumor, it's a symptom of a larger problem, that the very structure around her may be incapable or unwilling to handle her greatness. It's the final desperate option for a system that would rather self-destruct than hand over the keys to an outsider. And while this chaos unfolds on the court and in the media, the one group you'd expect to step in has been eerily quiet: the league's leadership. Where is the WNBA commissioner? When pressed about the hard fouls and obvious targeting of Clark, the responses have been vague, diplomatic, and utterly toothless. There has been no strong public condemnation, no decisive action to protect the league's most valuable asset. Instead of launching a marketing blitz to celebrate their new superstar, they have allowed the narrative of jealousy and resentment to fester. It's a stunning failure of leadership. This inaction feels less like an oversight and more like a strategy. By staying silent, the league is enabling the hostility, sending a clear message that this behavior is acceptable. Their silence is deafening, and it reeks of complicity. This calculated inaction, combined with the hostility, snubs, and internal sabotage, all points to one unavoidable conclusion. The real motive here is fear. It's the fear of a revolution. The WNBA establishment, along with a powerful contingent of veteran players, seems terrified of one individual becoming bigger than the league itself. They didn't want a messiah who would rewrite the rules. They wanted a marketable addition who would politely fit into the existing hierarchy. Clark, with her unprecedented fame and outside appeal, represents a total disruption of that old world order. She holds power that they cannot control, and that is a threat that must be neutralized at all costs. So here we are, watching the league's greatest asset navigate a minefield laid by her own colleagues and superiors. She is in an impossible position. If she plays her explosive, high-volume style, she's criticized for not being a team player. If she defers to others, her team loses and her impact is questioned. She's trapped in a lose-lose scenario, all while generating millions for the very people who seem to resent her the most. This brings the WNBA to a terrifying crossroads. They may think they are containing a single player, but they are playing a dangerous game with the future of their entire league. The situation is a ticking time bomb. How long will a generational talent put up with being treated like a liability? The real question isn't if the league can control Caitlin Clark, but what happens when their golden goose finally decides she's had enough and chooses to fly away.